All right, so this episode of Strike Back, episode two, it picks up right where the season premiere left off. The boat gets hit by a rocket launcher, flips over. Scott, Rebecca, and Kumali are all under the water. Stonebridge, he escapes, and he gets the new girl whose name once again I can't remember. Hopefully, I'll get that down by the time the season goes through. But like I mentioned in the last episode, I believe horrible names. But they get out. Kumali actually goes back to help Scott save Rebecca once he escapes. So they both save her life. Kumali escapes to the other side of the river. Scott gets Rebecca, takes her basically to the land, to the shore, and sort of I guess it was kind of a foreshadowing moment, really, when they thought that she was gonna die when because she had so much water in her lungs. And like I thought she was gonna die, and like I mentioned in the last episode, I thought, hey, they brought her in, and I'd seen like some previews where she was in it. I thought, oh, maybe she's gonna come in and she'll be a main character this time and kind of replace some of one of the characters that died. And then they had this where she's dying. I thought she was gonna die right there, and then she comes back, and I'm like, okay, you know, I was wrong. I thought they were gonna kill her off right there. I'm like, there's no way she's dying, and she didn't die right there. But like hit us with a twist, and she gets killed. Towards the end of the episode, and that is definitely not something I was expecting, and it definitely has a huge impact on the show. Of course, if you follow the show from season one, you know that like Scott and Stonebridge are kind of like polar opposites. Stonebridge was the family man. He had his wife, and he was gonna have a child at the end of season one, but season two begins, and you see that, or at least you hear that she had a miscarriage, his wife. So they have to mourn their child, and then she's killed, and so now he's all on his own. But Scott was always on his own, and he was just always with the random woman. Every episode he slept with somebody, and then Rebecca came into it, last season, and he fell for her. And he even says a line in this episode where he's like, where he said, if I was Kumali, I would have left you. Like if you betrayed me, and she said, yeah, I would have done the same. He's like, see, that's why we're made for each other. And then when she's killed in the episode, they of course have their dramatic moment where they sort of take the sound way down, so all the bullets and stuff is really low tones, and he's interacting with her, and she's doing a ritual, which I thought was a really cool thing to do, that they put that in there that way, because it could have easily been he was just sad that she died, but she was dying and she wanted to follow through with her religion, and I thought that was just really well done. But it's sad to see that she was killed off, and it was very surprising because even when the guy was aiming at her and she was in his sights, I honestly thought it would be sort of a last minute save where someone would see that he was there and they'd like knock her out of the way and maybe get shot in the arm or something like that. But it wasn't like that, and I was wrong, and he shot her and she died, unfortunately. And now that that's happened, Scott is gonna have to live with that, through the rest of the series. But obviously, since it happened in this season, it'll be a real impact for the rest of the episodes, and we'll see how he advances, trying to figure out how do I deal with losing like the first person I really cared about, and probably ever, but if not ever, in a very long time. And so we'll get to see that progression, even though it's a sad progression. It's obviously it's not something we can change. We didn't write the show, but even though it's a sad progression, we'll get to see that progression and how he advances as a character. But the other twist that we get is that Kumali, even though he was believed to be a villain, is actually like a super deep cover CIA agent, and like that was probably the biggest twist to me. Just to get to one of the smaller twists. I guess it was sort of a twist, but not really. Um, Sebastian Gray, he is found. He gives up the information that he doesn't actually, know what Azuhari really wants, or he doesn't have the information that Azuhari really wants, and he's actually killed off. And it was funny that when he was talking to, I want to say her name's Rachel, when he was talking to her, as soon as he mentioned, like, like I had a daughter, I was like, he's about to get shot in the head. And like as soon as he started to get sympathetic, I'm like, he's about to die right now, and that's exactly how that went. But like that scene, like Rachel, like the last episode, and like sort of the first bit of this one, specifically the portion where he dies. She's kind of like off on her own. Like she was kind of deep cover, but not really in undercover anymore. But she's like on her own pretty much, and just killing people. I didn't mention it too much in my last review, but she killed a bunch of people by herself in the last episode, and in this one, like she chased the guy down, and like she was about to kill the guy, but she was out of bullets, and then the director or whoever they talked to in the first episode, he had already landed, and he came in and took the guy right out. So I thought it was gonna be, like they'd be basically their own separate team, but in the end of the episode, everyone did end up joining back together once they found out, that Kamali really was a CIA agent, or they ended up together to find out whether or not he was really a CIA agent. And I really enjoyed the scene, before he came in, once they thought they were still being tricked and Scott and Stonebridge were tied up and they were, dealing with the two guys, once he came in, it was like, it was so confusing. It was like, okay, they found out that he wasn't CIA, or at least that's what they thought. And so they figured they got tricked again, even because, they gave up so that they could save their lives, and, he could save them because he could get them out of it somehow. And they thought, oh, we got tricked. And so they're getting tased and stuff, and then he comes in, and he picks up a gun. It's like he's gonna take him out, and the guy's like, no, he killed, this guy, so it's, I have to basically get revenge for him, and so it's my mistake to make. And he's like, you're right. And so he shoots the fat guy who Scott gave a heart attack to, which I love that scene. I thought that was hilarious because I'm like, as soon as he started to grab his chest, I'm like, oh, they did mention heart problems. He's about to have a heart attack. And I just loved that whole scene. I thought that was like insane. And also when they first went in the bank, when the woman saw them through the window, she was just like, well, not my business. And she just kept wiping the windows like, I don't get paid that much. I thought that was funny. But like he takes those guys out, and then they take out everybody else. And the end of the episode, they basically take control of that portion of the CIA, which is really just that one guy, Kumali. And they're like, if you don't let us basically get all the information that you have from him being under deep cover, we'll put this out there that he killed a government official who was Baxter in the first episode. So I'm definitely interested in seeing how that plays out, how they're gonna, because it's not gonna be like, all right, you got us by the ball, so we're just gonna do what you say. It's obviously gonna be conflict, left and right, with, for one, Scott losing Rebecca, because obviously it was because of Kamali, and two, just the fact that 20 is gonna be trying to control, that guy from the CIA who, I don't know, I'm sure they mentioned his name, but he's probably not even gonna be in it too much. It's mostly gonna be Kamali. But they're going to basically be controlling both of those guys, and neither of them are really going to appreciate that. So I'm curious to see how those interactions play out and how they pretty much put Kumali back into deep cover, because like he said, like he killed all the witnesses, but now they have to figure out, and I'm sure they'll easily do it, but they have to put him back into deep cover pretty much. So I'm definitely excited to see how that plays out for the characters. Something else is sort of a minor thing that I enjoyed was the interaction between the new woman and the woman whose name I also can't remember, who's been in the show like the whole time. She was basically in control when Rachel was like out in the field, and like I really got to get the names down obviously, but their interactions together I thought were really funny. Like the two little scenes they had, like when they, Scott and Stonebridge first picked up like the fat guy, and he yelled to his bodyguards, and they just like took him out. Like the one girl who's been in the show since season 1, she like snapped the guy's neck. I'm like, did she just kill that guy? I thought they were gonna like knock him out or something, but she just like snapped his neck right there and just dead, and they just left him. And the one was like, you're good, and she was like, yeah, I practice. And then when they're in the car and the cops come up to them because they're both really attractive, it was funny how they played like they were lesbians, and then the cops like, oh, yeah, you can't park here, you gotta go. And I just love that scene because they both laughed as they were driving away, and it was like they obviously, like any normal person, once you like you trick someone like that, it's really funny. So I love how they have their own little interactions as well. So I hope that we get to see that more in later episodes too, because I think their chemistry is you know both written very well and it's acted very well. So I enjoyed both those little scenes that they had with each other. But as a whole, episode was fantastic. It was sad that Rebecca was killed off. An interesting twist. I can't say a great twist because, like I said, it was sad, so it's not really great to me. But like I do like a good surprise in an episode, and also Kamali being a CIA agent, I would say that's a great twist because none of the good guys died because of that. So that I would consider a great twist, and Rebecca, dying a sad twist, but definitely one that is going to impact the show and was going to obviously be a very dramatic and very well done way. I assume because the show I think just can't really go wrong. So let me know what you thought of the episode. Comment below. Did you think did you have any suspicions that Rebecca would die? And I guess if for some reason you thought Kamali was possibly CIA, you could put that below too. But just let me know what you thought of the episode as a whole. Certain things here and there. And also, they were actually shot in this episode. Stonebridge was hit by a bullet, hit him in the vest, fell over the table. And if you watch some of the things they do after the show goes off, they do they show the little interviews where they talk about the scenes. And the camera work really was done very well in this episode when they were coming out of the bank, and it was the one really long shot. I did enjoy that, just like they mentioned. It does make it more realistic and more visceral to just pan and move around with the characters as they keep going through one continuous motion. So comment below, let me know what you thought of everything as a whole, and just let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching.